Blackfishing is a term used to describe a white person who takes on black cultural references because they think it makes them look cool. They may do this through hairstyles, use of skin darkening makeup, or even surgery to pick what they perceive to be the best stereotypical features of black heritage. Former Little Mix member Jesy has said of the claims, "I love black culture, I love black music, that's all I know, it's what I grew up on. I'm very aware that I'm a white British woman. I've never said that I wasn't." So, is this blackfishing, or is Jesy simply expressing herself through art, Benjamin Butterworth?
Do you know, I've got to be honest, I don't follow Little Mix particularly closely, the band that she was in previously.
Do you not?
I didn't know.
It might be the fan.
I didn't know she was white. I honestly didn't know she was white. Assumed she was mixed race.
Oh,
because she's always, you know, had this fake tan on the whole time she's been famous.
So does everyone in Essex.
So I have to be honest, I'm surprised to find out she's white, quite frankly. I don't think that's such an unusual attitude. Look, I think one of the problems here is that sometimes these black features, for want of a better phrase, or more likely sort of the type of dance moves, the type of music that is created by black people and some other minorities, like gay people in the 80s, only comes to the fore when a white person does it. And I can see why that would frustrate people.
Is she doing this thing called blackfishing?
I don't know, honestly. I really don't know what I think.
Because
I didn't know she wasn't
I'm
white.
so angry about this, and I'll tell you why. Because all of the people who are accusing Jesy Nelson of this were all of the same people that were springing to her defence and saying, "Be kind," a few months ago when she was talking about her suicide attempts because of disgusting, despicable trolling online. This is a woman who has been very open about the fact that she has issues with her appearance. She finds it difficult to have the same confidence in the public eye as her former bandmates. And here we are now, well, not me at all. I think this criticism is ridiculous, but I'm talking about the scum, you know, the scum on social media, criticising this woman and trying to say that she's racist when she's anything but.
I've never heard that term before, but as I estimated correctly, it's ridiculous. She's an artist. Let her do what she wants. She's always had fake tan on. She's had fake tan on since she's been in Little Mix from, 2013, 2014. Let her do what she wants to do. For me, what really irritates me is just this idea. Black culture isn't one thing. There's a whole continent full of black people. Do people forget this? Like, when people talk about black culture, it just happens to just be what you see in sort of black American music or black British music. There is a whole continent full of black people with very different cultures. And, you know, it's a beautiful thing to celebrate. But one, reducing black culture to just this is frankly insulting to the people they claim to defend. And secondly, let her do what she wants. She is an artist. She grew up in London. London is one of the most multicultural cities on the planet. Just leave her alone.
And Carol, she says, "I love black culture. That's the music I grew up with." She loves hip-hop. That's her vibe.
I mean, you know, in a broader term, she's been accused of cultural appropriation, which I don't agree with the concept at all. I think, why can't we...
Cultural celebration, could you...
Why can't we copy other cultures? Why can't we ape them? Cultural pride is absurd because, you know, you're not responsible for a culture. You were born into it by an accident of nature. You don't own it. You can't ban other people from doing it, because if you're going to do that, we're going to say black women can't straighten their hair. White women can't have dreadlocks. No one who's not stopped can wear tops.
Criticised. Do you remember
that?
Of
course she was.
Dressed up for the Notting Hill Carnival with her hair.
None of us should be allowed to eat a curry again if that's the case. You know, it's ridiculous.
Jamie Oliver has been criticised for doing curry recipes.
People don't own their culture, you know. And I think it's people don't do any of these things with nasty intent. I think it's a celebration to try and copy something, actually, to try and be...
Look, I don't completely disagree with you. You know, I think you can take good things from lots of different cultures.
Yes.
But I think one of the reasons why lots of people, black people in this case, sometimes feel agitated is because they don't feel as though if they, for example, had their hair naturally rather than straightened, that would be as commercially viable, that they would have as much success. They feel a pressure to not behave in that way. And so when they see white artists doing it and copying it, I think that makes them feel uncomfortable.
But it also depends on the market. It also depends.
I'm just putting that out. I mean, that's real.
Hold on. But there are loads of Afrobeats artists and there are loads of black female artists within African African markets that wear their hair in cornrows, dreads, afro style. It
But
depends
do
on
they
the
get to
market.
the
It's
top
not
of the
particularly
charts and
common here.
do they get to-
90% of the
exactly.
population don't have afro.
But I think that's something that they
Afro-kinky
feel.
hair.
And take, for example, you know, I watched this brilliant series called Pose about trans and gay people in New York in the 80s and 90s. And it took Madonna to take that and make it famous. You know, those black working-class Americans couldn't break through despite inventing all the dance moves and the music.
But
And
that's not an injustice. That's something that's relevant to like 2% of the population. It's not because Americans were being homophobic. It's because Vogue culture wasn't even exposed to them. Because most people in America, the overwhelming majority, are not part of that homosexual community.
The homosexual community.
No, but that came up with it, and it's a beautiful art. But most people are not familiar with it. That doesn't mean it's prejudice.
That when those communities come up with those creative processes and those ideas, and
we should celebrate
these new things. But the problem is that too often we don't celebrate those people that came up with it. We celebrate someone who is maybe white and straight and established who adopts.
But do you accept that you can't own a culture?
Yes.
You can't own a culture. And by the way, can I just make this point again? Black culture is not one thing. There is no black culture, right?
And I hear you on that. I hear you on that. But what I would like to see is these white artists that are accused of this actually standing up for themselves, because Adele did this big interview with Vogue last week and spoke of her shame at the fact that she had worn the cornrow...
Yeah, Bantu knots.
Hair, the Bantu knots, sorry, Bantu knots it was. The Bantu knots during the weekend of Notting Hill Carnival, and she said, I left the picture up on my Instagram because I needed to acknowledge my mistake to the world. And it's like, you didn't make a mistake, you did nothing wrong.
You grew up in Tottenham, babe.
Who were saying you